Next on the news. Turning to the church, the Louisville community comes together in prayer after 5 people are killed in a mass shooting at a bank.
Everyone's just kind of walking around in a fog, like, did this just really happen today?
A battle over abortion pills. Some states look to stockpile the drug after a Texas judge's ruling over safety concerns with mifepristone. It's a race against the clock. The Italian Coast Guard rushes to save over 1,000 migrants adrift at sea. Plus, an unfortunate tragedy. A fire destroys a Massachusetts church, causing a pastor to make a solemn promise.
I'm rattled. I'm sad. We're heartbroken and just trying to process.
I'm Jessica Easthope in for Christine Persichetti. Currents News starts right now. A community in mourning. Their questions may never be answered, but they're turning to faith for comfort after a loss of life in Louisville. A 5th victim of the mass shooting at Old National Bank in Louisville, Kentucky, has died. This as we're learning of new details on the shooter, 25-year-old Connor Sturgeon, as well as a possible motive. Sturgeon, an employee of the bank, reportedly knew he was going to be fired and wrote a note of his planned attack to his parents and a friend before heading into work Monday. He opened fire while several employees were in a meeting and live-streamed the attack. At least 8 others were wounded, some critically. Sturgeon also shot at police, prompting officers to return fire, and he was killed at the scene. Police revealed that he purchased his weapon legally from a local dealership just 1 week ago. The Louisville community is now turning to God, and prayer vigils are being held across the city. One of the victims, 40-year-old Joshua Barrick, attended Holy Trinity Parish. The pastor there isn't just offering comfort to Barrick's family, but also to a congregation wondering how this could have happened. The congregation at Holy Trinity Church is leaning heavily on their faith and each other right now. 40-year-old Josh Barrick went to Old National Bank Monday morning, where he was Senior Vice President of Commercial Real Estate Banking. Just hours later, his picture sits on an altar in front of a community wondering why.
Just a likable, kind, he's a big guy, and just had a bubbling personality, and you could tell he loved his family, he loved his faith, he loved this community, and he just loved life.
Barrick, a husband and father of 2, died at the scene, along with Juliana Farmer, Tommy Elliott, and James Tutt. Deanna Eckert died from her injuries at the hospital Monday night. All were between the ages of 40 and 64. 8 others were injured, including 2 police officers. Rookie cop Nicholas Wilt is in critical condition after being shot in the head. He was just days into the job.
The officer who is in critical condition today, Officer Nicholas Wilt, 26 years of age, just graduated from the police academy on March 31st. I just swore him in. He was struck in the head.
Meanwhile, at Holy Trinity, Father Shane Duvall took over as pastor 9 months ago and says Barrick just came to see him in his office 2 weeks ago.
He said, I know you've got some big plans, and I know you have a big vision for helping us here. And he said, I'll do anything I can for you. You let me know. And that was just very comforting.
Now he's the one providing comfort, not only to Barrick's family, but a congregation full of questions and few answers.
They're in shock. I've been with his wife, I've been with his children, I've been with his brother and members of this community, and everyone's just kind of walking around in a fog, like, did this just really happen today?
While Father Duvall knows many are feeling anger right now, he's encouraging everyone to turn to prayer instead.
There's going to be a lot of people in this community that are angry and mad at him, and they have every right to be. But I still have to pray for his soul, too.
No word yet on the viewing or funeral arrangements for the 5 victims involved. President Biden weighed in on a federal Texas judge who invalidated the FDA's approval of the abortion medication mifepristone. He said the ruling was, quote, completely out of bounds. Mifepristone was first approved by the FDA in 2000. The judge overruled the agency based on safety concerns, saying they didn't follow their protocols. The White House is expected to take the case up to the Supreme Court. Now, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are preparing for an abortion pill battle because the fight over mifepristone is far from over. Currents News' Andy Madison explains what we should expect next.
The Texas ruling, which would suspend the FDA's long-standing approval of the abortion drug mifepristone, is only one part of an increasingly complicated legal tug-of-war.
Its role is to take life and not preserve it.
We have this other case in Washington, which is essentially finding exactly the opposite of what this extremist judge in Texas has found.
The Washington ruling protects the use of the abortion drug in 17 states and the District of Columbia. And while states navigate the legal challenges, the Biden administration vowing to use all legal means to fight the Texas ruling.
The president's made the commitment. We're going to use every available resource to protect a woman's right to reproductive health care.
Yet the Alliance for Defending Freedom, which filed the lawsuit, argues that the FDA authorized the pill for political reasons while ignoring its own testing standards. South Carolina Republican Nancy Mace says while her beliefs are pro-life, the country is divided.
90% of America is somewhere in the middle. And I think that 90% would be okay with listening to the FDA rather than a judge.
As the legal appeals to Friday's Texas ruling advance this week, Representative Mace has a political appeal to her GOP colleagues.
We are getting it wrong on this issue. We've got to show some compassion to women, especially women who've been raped, because by and large, most of Americans aren't with us on this issue.
Yet some doctors represented by the Alliance for Defending Freedom would disagree. Because the abortion drug is self-administered, there could be serious health risks. Andy Madison, Currents News.
Despite what some doctors are saying, a number of states are stockpiling abortion drugs. And New York's Governor Kathy Hochul is taking steps to ensure there's access in the Big Apple.
I'm proud to announce that New York State will create a stockpile of misoprostol, another form of medication abortion. Extremist judges have made it clear that they won't stop at any one particular drug or service. So it's going to ensure that New Yorkers will continue to have access to medication abortion no matter what.
She added that if the Texas judge's ruling stands, Albany will also dedicate a total of $55 million to help give women access to abortions. The New York State Catholic Conference responded to the governor's announcement with the following, quote, New York is already the abortion capital of the country, yet our leaders keep finding new ways to expand it even further. Women who want to keep their babies and need support are too often an afterthought as politicians pander to Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry. New York City is asking for more federal funds as they struggle to help a steady stream of incoming migrants. The Big Apple has reportedly been taking in an average of 90 migrants a day since July of last year. The city is also reporting around 32,000 migrants are now living in taxpayer-funded housing. As a result, they are asking for $654 million to help plug the holes sustained by the city on housing and providing services to the migrants. That number is actually expected to grow to $4.3 billion by the end of 2024. President Joe Biden visited Northern Ireland today to mark the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement. The commander-in-chief departed Tuesday morning. He was greeted by British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak before embarking on a 4-day visit to Ireland. The trip comes on the day the Good Friday Agreement of 1998 was signed. The deal ended a period known as the Troubles, which saw violence between Northern Irish Protestants who wanted to remain a part of the United Kingdom and Catholics who wished to be part of the Republic of Ireland. Pope Francis also marked the anniversary on Monday.
I pray that the God of peace, that what's been maintained over those years in peace may continue to offer peace and harmony in that land.
The Primate of all Ireland, Archbishop Eamon Martin, welcoming the Pope's prayers, saying the Holy Father has shown, quote, greatest interest in the peace process. Right now in the Mediterranean, there's a race to save more than 1,000 migrants. The Italian Coast Guard is working to escort 2 separate boats stranded out at sea, carrying hundreds of migrants apiece. As Barbie Latza-Nudo reports, they were traveling through dangerous waters that have quickly created a migrant crisis for the Italian government.
The world's deadliest migration route is also one of the busiest, which has led Italy to call a state of emergency over the migrant crisis. Over the weekend, more than 1,700 people arrived on the tiny island of Lampedusa, many on small boats from Tunisia, where geopolitics continue to push people to risk their lives. And off the southern coast of Italy, bigger boats in distress put hundreds more lives at risk. One large boat with 400 people ran out of fuel in the Maltese search and rescue zone and was given fuel by a merchant vessel to continue towards Italy. Those on board told the NGO Alarm Phone that people were threatening to jump overboard due to the dangerous conditions. And another boat with 800 people was spotted some 120 nautical miles off the coast of Sicily on Sunday. Both boats were being escorted slowly to safety after Coast Guard officials deemed it too dangerous to transfer the people in rough seas. Italy's Interior Ministry statistics from April 11th show that nearly 31,300 people have arrived by boat since January, not including the 2 boats being escorted to safety. That figure is about 4 times more than the same period last year. Barbie Lazanedo, Rome.
Charges have been filed for the mom of a 6-year-old who allegedly shot his first-grade teacher in Virginia. Deja Nicole Taylor is being charged with felony child neglect and a misdemeanor count of recklessly leaving a firearm so as to endanger a child. The incident happened in early January when Rich Neck Elementary School teacher Abby Zwerner was shot in the head and chest while she sat at a reading table. She spent nearly 2 weeks in the hospital and required 4 surgeries. Zwerner has filed a lawsuit against the school officials, accusing them of gross negligence and ignoring multiple warnings. The boy was armed. President Biden signed legislation ending the national COVID emergency on Monday, but the aftermath of the pandemic can still be felt in workplaces around the country. The commercial real estate industry is struggling thanks to a nationwide change in where people work and how they shop. As Gloria Pazmino reports, the real estate woes could snowball from there.
The COVID-19 pandemic brought a major change to how many businesses operate.
For so many people, not going to the office as much as they have before has had a really seismic impact on commercial real estate.
And a potential problem for America's banks.
There's no question that there is some risk in the system associated with these changes simply because so much has changed.
Across the U.S., offices sit vacant or underused. Average occupancy is less than half of where it was in March of 2020, according to data from security provider Castle. And that is dragging down the value of these properties.
The real question is for the owners of these properties, whether they are experiencing financial distress or will in the future.
The problem, banks lend significant money to this sector. Goldman Sachs estimates that 55% of U.S. office loans sit on banks' balance sheets. The decrease in values puts more strain on already stressed out banks.
We're well aware of the concentrations people have in commercial real estate.
Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell remained confident when asked about the danger posed by commercial real estate last month.
The banking system is strong, it is sound, it is resilient, it's well capitalized.
I'm Gloria Pasmino reporting.
There's a lot more news headed your way. An Easter Sunday marred in Massachusetts as a beloved Lutheran church was damaged during a fire. Your favorite dishes, just like how Grandma used to make them. This restaurant is serving up a Nana's love on a plate. Plus, an ocean of orange out in California will show you the poppy super bloom. What would you give to eat a meal just like your grandma made it? Maybe all you need is a reservation to have a nibble of nostalgia. Everyone knows there's nothing better than your grandma's cooking. It's warm and comforting and can even sometimes work faster than medicine when you're sick. Well, imagine going to a restaurant where that's all they serve. That's exactly what one Staten Island restaurant is doing, and I was there to see one of their nanas in action.
Just like at your grandma's house, at Enoteca Maria, you eat whatever they're making. Today, it's zucchini parmesan and fresh cavatelli with sausage. Made with Maria Giolinella's 2 hands. Her old world upbringing in Avellino, Italy got her here in the modern kitchen of a restaurant with an innovative concept.
I'm the older one in the family, so that's why I make everything for myself. I wash the clothes, I do a little work.
At Enoteca Maria, they only employ grandmothers. They come on a rotation to cook food from all over the globe. The menu changes every day. Italian is a constant. Sometimes the other cuisine
we changed to Maria and Yumi.
Is from Japan or Azerbaijan or Peru.
A lot of people are missing their grandmothers, and they're missing those times at their grandmother's house and those meals and that interaction. Hi, this is Joe from Enoteca Maria, confirming 6 people at 8 o'clock.
Owner Jody Scaravella says Enoteca Maria was created to be a culinary experience, with every dish stimulating the taste buds and pulling at the heartstrings.
It kind of evokes that walk down memory lane. Usually the people will start talking about their grandmother and the things that she used to make.
Some grandmothers cook every 6 weeks, others only once a year. Maria says she can't stay away. While perfecting her craft in school at a convent in Italy, she came to realize this is her vocation.
It changed a life for me, yes. Just say, oh, thank you, Maria, thank you. You did a good job. I like it.
But Maria doesn't do it for the praise. Like any grandmother, she does it for her family. With her faith folded into every bite. Enoteca Maria is currently looking for Italian nonnas to come and cook. If you or your grandmother are interested, you can contact the restaurant at 718-447-2777. A family in Nebraska used their Easter meal as an opportunity to give back. For almost 4 decades, Easter dinner for the Knutsons has been handed out to those in need. This Sunday, they served some 700 meals to people who are struggling to make ends meet or just want to be around people for the holiday. 60 volunteers and family members were on hand at their restaurant Da Vinci's to give out the free food. They say the reason they keep this tradition going stems from their faith.
We feel very strongly as a Christian family about giving back to Lincoln and supporting the community.
This was actually the first year since the pandemic the Knutsons were able to host the Easter meal. They say they're happy with the turnout and plan to keep the tradition going as long as they own their restaurant. Easter Sunday wasn't so happy for a Lutheran church community in Massachusetts. They're now picking up the pieces after watching their house of worship get destroyed during a fire. But as Andy Madison reports, despite the loss, the church is still promising to serve the community.
I'm rattled. I'm sad. We're heartbroken and just trying to process.
By midday Monday, the reality of what happened just a day before was starting to set in. Reverend Robin Lutt-Johann preaches here. The Faith Lutheran Church is just a shell of what it used to be.
Trying to figure out what the immediate next steps for us are, because thinking further than that is not really possible right now.
This fire started Easter Sunday around 5:30 in the afternoon. Smoke would not stop billowing from the burning building. Firefighters worked overnight to put out lingering hot spots, and all eyes were on the steeple and if it would hold.
You're looking at, 100 feet to the peak of the steeple. Some of the other ceilings were 40, 50 feet.
The aftermath of this fire spreads beyond this block.
So we have a foot of water in the basement.
Nearby homes and businesses had basements flooded. This daycare has the power shut off, cleaning crews working overtime. But the loss just out the back door is glaring.
It's very heartbreaking for us to see it burning like that, and especially on Easter.
The pastor says the steeple will come down. In the meantime, the mission for parishioners here carries on.
We're not going to stop that. We're going to continue to serve people, because that's where our purpose is.
Andy Madison, Currents News.
In Nicaragua, Holy Week was met with religious suppression as a journalist has been arrested for posting a Holy Week service online. Victor Takei was detained for live streaming an Easter celebration on April 5th for the Facebook page of a local news site he directs. There has been no word on what that service was, and the video has since been deleted. Ahead of Holy Week, the Nicaraguan regime prohibited processions and religious activities on the streets. This year, more than 3,000 Holy Week processions were banned. Almost 100 people have died in a series of Holy Week attacks in north-central Nigeria. The incidents happened in Benue State, an area that has estimated 2 million displaced people who cannot live on their traditional farmlands without fear of being killed. The attacks began on Palm Sunday when armed men reportedly stormed a service at a Pentecostal church. At least 94 people have died. Still to come on Currents News, a beautiful sight to see, the super bloom that has people driving from all over to visit. Plus, not letting a disability slow him down, the artist that's working with the Vatican. Do you have a story idea or want to share a tip? Email us at newstips@desalesmedia.org or call our 24-hour number 718-517-3122. We'll be right back. Plenty of artists have used their struggle as inspiration, but one painter is defying the odds to create art for the Vatican. Meet Francesco Canale, the Italian artist born without arms or legs. Despite his disabilities, he learned to write and paint by using his mouth. By the time he was 11, he was showing his art in galleries. But the highlight of his career came last year when he was commissioned to paint 2 Vatican Christmas stamps. The Italian artist said he'll never forget meeting the Pope.
He was very happy. At the end, he told me something I really appreciated. He said, "Thank you for your testimony. It was a nice greeting."
And Canale does more than just paint. He's also a playwright, performer, and a motivational speaker. Finally, tonight we end this newscast with a pop of color. Crowds of people are flocking to Southern California as experts predict a massive super bloom of poppies. Lori Perez finds out that sometimes the grass is orange on the other side.
The poppy super bloom this year is, in a word,
orange.
Okay, a second word.
It's spectacular.
Off the beaten path is the beaten path this season in Lancaster because the poppies have exploded in lots of places.
I love flowers, so I like it.
Creating a carpet of color.
My name is Trenton, and I love coming out here.
On fields all over the city, except on the actual State Park Poppy Reserve.
A little bit of disappointment as far as what Mother Nature has given us.
After all the rain we had, Ranger Matt Williams says expectations for a super bloom remain high. But after some late snow and cold here on the reserve, nothing is poppying up, at least not yet.
Again, it's Mother Nature, though. She kind of does what it wants. That's why we call it a reserve, because it's reserved for her if she decides to show up.
Meanwhile, in the flatlands along virtually every road leading to the reserve, crowds are finding the flowers to fill their senses and their social media feeds.
We love it. We're just looking for the right combination of colors.
I had a new baby, so he needs to get in the pictures.
Experts say the last super bloom was 2019, the result of a regular series of soaking rains, which we definitely also had this year. And when those showers bring these kind of flowers.
This is like once in a decade bloom that happens, and we're driving in here from San Francisco to see this place. Look, this is just wild. I mean, it's just beautiful.
That was Lori Perez reporting. The Poppy Resort is still holding out hope. Officials say they'll have a definitive answer if their super bloom is coming soon. And that is Currents News. I'm Jessica Easthope. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.